Hi, I'm Kathy Davis, Davis Creative Publishing, and today we're going to be welcoming Karen Fox. Sorry about that, Karen Fox. But before we officially welcome her, I want to remind everybody of a few logistics. The call is being recorded, and you will receive a link to the YouTube video a few days after the call. Your attendance at these meetings serves as your permission to be seen in the recording. Please mute yourself on your end if you've not yet already done so. And find your chat button down at the bottom, and please add all your questions into the chat box, and I'll be watching that for Karen to make sure we get all your questions answered. We promise to end today around 12:15 or shortly thereafter, so everybody can get back to the business of the day. So welcome to the February 22nd, 2024 Inspiring Author Conversations. Karen Fox is our guest today, and we'll be talking about survival strategies in navigating AI and marketing. Our theme for 2024 is growing your business by the book. Each month, we welcome guests who inspire authors by sharing knowledge, new ideas, opportunities, and wisdom. Karen Fox is a dynamic speaker. I know her through NSA. I know you through a lot of different places. She is a coach, an AI geek. She's on a mission to transform the way we communicate. Through her expertise in mastering communication, she empowers individuals and teams to care deeply, connect authentically, contribute meaningfully, and create results that resonate. Whether captivating audiences on stage or working directly with leaders, Karen's unique approach delves into the intricacies of effective communication. She was recognized recently as a top 100 St. Louisan to know by the Small Business Monthly and a top 15 coach by Influence Digest. Karen infuses passion, humor, and love for high heels shopping, Reese's peanut butter chips, cups. I was going to say, I didn't know they had chips. That would be nice. And all things AI into her impactful work. Welcome, Karen. We cross paths at least once or twice a week, so this is awesome.
Very excited to be here. Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah. So I know we know each other through NSA. We get to talk a lot about speaking and AI. And I noticed that you had been doing some other speaking gigs and talking about artificial intelligence in marketing. So tell us a little bit about you and your business and how you've been able to incorporate AI into what you do.
Well, with not just the coaching, but the speaking and everything we do, it's the fastest way to gather research. Now, we do have to check our sources, because AI, particularly Chat GPT, has what they call hallucinations. So they will hallucinate something. So you do have to check that and make sure that it's not a hallucination. So
Wow.
check the facts. But the exciting thing, though, is it's the perfect place, as a speaker, as a coach, as a writer, any of these areas to do your search, to do comparisons, to write out framework, to figure out a script. There's just so many ways you can use it. You can use it to find topics. You can use it to find blog titles. There's just so many things. However, even with all I do, it is not to take the place of us humans. We want to be very clear about that. Just like writing a book is not taking everything from AI, putting it on paper and saying I wrote a book.
A few have tried. Yeah.
Well, I think in the future, and this is my own opinion, but I think in the future, you're going to have to be very careful with that because you're going to get slapped with duplicate content. And when you do, then of course, then your SEO rankings go way down. So I feel like it's the same way when you're writing blogs or you're writing out any kind of script of anything. It's just a guide. It's perfect to guide you, but it is
That's
not meant to replace you.
Karen, that's what I was just going to ask you, what your thoughts are on using it. Like if you had your plat or whatever word you just used, but your format that you just used it to help you write an outline.
Oh, it's
So,
perfect for
like if you're telling it your thoughts or platform, it writes the outline. So that kind of keeps you on track of what your things, are you thinking
I think
that's
that's perfect. That's exactly what I use it for, Gail. In the fact that I don't care who we are, we come up with writer's block. It's whether you're speaking to a new audience or even when I'm coaching clients, it's like, okay, let's look at a different way of doing this. we like to be creative, but we all get that creative block. And so I think that's the perfect area for the artificial intelligence to come in. It gets us past that because, how many times when a client will say, well, do you do this or how do you do that? It's like, oh, ding, 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 the light bulb comes on. And it's like, I could write a blog about that. I could do a video about that. I could share that, all of those things. But we need that little prompt. And that's why we call it the AI prompts. And so it helps you just prompt you along, but you still have to have your genius to make it worth anything.
Well, and you mentioned earlier about how there are red flags, and both Amazon and Ingram now have bots in their system that they've been testing off and on. And of course, the bots keep getting smarter and smarter. And the bots are watching for plagiarized words that come through when you post your books to Amazon or Ingram. And Amazon now has a new policy that one strike and you're out. They're starting to close down people's accounts based on if you have something in your book that they have found someplace else, they will shut down your account until you can convince them that you are the originator of those words. So we're telling people to be very careful. Use it for research, but do not use it verbatim. You've got to rewrite what it is that any of these AI chats off whatever information they're giving you. Well, you want to make sure you rewrite it.
Well, the algorithms are so strong. My daughter, who's in the master's program, just got dinged that she had, plagiarized something. She said, I didn't plagiarize. I have not even used that because I don't want to be in that situation. But it was because she used too large a vocabulary. So they assumed when the algorithm went through, because she had the larger vocabulary, that she had plagiarized and she had used some of Chat GPT and the artificial intelligence.
There's a university, and right now, which one escapes my brain, there's a university that did a study, and I believe I saw this on an evening news program, where they took a group of students, college students, and gave some of them copy to start with, asked some of them to write original copy, and then ran it all through the program that they're developing to try and figure out, could this program identify it as plagiarized or authentic? And unfortunately, what happened was that some of the people that had authentic copy, just like your daughter, got dinged for plagiarism. And some of the people that actually, were told to use plagiarism and use somebody else's words did not. So it's still an evolving industry.
Right.
Stay true to yourself and true to your own words, and you won't get caught, hopefully. Yeah.
I agree totally because I mean, when you're doing it and it's authentic, it doesn't really matter. It's going to come along. And sometimes you have to prove that. But like we already talked about, Gail, it's that great framework. It's perfect. It's great for comparisons. I also like to take my own blogs, put in all the content and ask them to bullet point it for me. Love that.
Yeah.
So if you want to do a quick video from that same blog, you put your bullet points up there and you just talk about the bullet points. So it's a tool, and I just want it to be used as a tool. It's no different than social media. When social media first come out, I've been doing this 15 years, and when it first came out, everybody's like, oh, no, 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 I'm scared of that. I'm not going to use, oh, no, that could be bad. Well, I would even start with a client today and say, you might want to think about social media.
Yeah.
It's a given. And that's how we've evolved. Does anybody know how long AI has been around?
I'm going to guess quite a while, and we've just gotten so used to it being slowly introduced. You tell us when it first started.
Well, it's been around as long as Silly Putty,
Wow.
and Silly Putty's been around 80 years.
Oh my goodness. So what was its first kind of use? And do you know who used it?
I did read that. Uh, and again, it was 80 years ago, but it
Yeah.
started out with the robots that they used on the moon. It started out with robots for detecting bombs and things like that. And
Okay.
so that's where it originated. And it is, but everybody's so afraid. They're like, this is all new. They're taking over everything. They're taking our jobs. And it's not that at all. It's the fact that it's been here. It's just like the algorithm picking up whether it is plagiarism or not. It just keeps continuing to get better and better. Will it take some jobs? It's possible, but it's not because you're not doing what you should be doing with it.
Well, I know one of the
I-
great ways.
I'm trying to raise my hand, but I don't know how to do it
There
on my phone.
You're doing a perfect way. Yeah, that works.
Adam Turing in 1940, I think it was 1940, was the first person to be credited with AI. So it's been around a long time. Anyway, I know it because I'm also into AI. So yeah, I'm also a nerd.
Awesome.
AI nerds are always welcome. Hi, Sheila.
Love it.
Hi, I'm back on mute.
But welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
What I was going to mention, Gail, one of the things that we typically recommend for our authors to do is once, they have their website, they have their book page on their website, and they're looking for a way to generate new names and gather names for their communication about their book through emails or through e-newsletters. And one of the ways that we have talked to our authors about using AI is to go out there and say, give me the top 10. So I'm kind of looking, and Kim stepped out, but what are the top 10 farm animals most loved by humans? Kim runs a heritage farm. Heritage animals are those farm animals that are slowly becoming extinct. So she has the animals on her farm. Has curated and collected to help save the breeds. And I mean, that was just an example. What are the top 10 whatevers in your particular industry? And then you rewrite, and write out a little do-wah-ditty about each of those top 10, and boom, you've got a free download. And that's one of the ways that we encourage our authors to use it. And it's one of the ways I've used it. If I, especially if I'm looking for a blog, like Karen mentioned, sometimes I feel I'm blogged out. I've been writing them for over 10 years, and it's like, okay, now what am I going to say that I can say differently? And sometimes it's almost like having an extra person in the office. Remember the days when we actually worked in offices and had cubicles? And it's someone else I can look over the cubicle, so to speak, and ask, well, what would you talk about this week, or this month? Yeah. So Karen, what do you find the most fascinating about AI?
Oh, the information and the creativity it gives you. If I can share this, Kathy, I asked, and I call
You
it
need to
chat.
share your screen?
No, I just got.
You're just sharing. Okay, gotcha.
I call it Chatty. So I said, Chatty, can you tell me what I should share with you to give me the best information about me and my business? Because the first thing you have to do is train it to know you. So you have to, and this is the list it gave me. Your background. I'm not going to go through all of the details, but your background, your business or industry, your goals and objectives, challenges and pain points, success and achievements, your target audience, your brand identity, marketing and sales strategies, technology and tools. And that's telling them what you're using already. So it gives them an idea. And then your personal interest and passions. And so it's so exciting when you start seeing them ask you the questions you should ask them. But it's so great that you can have this, because sometimes you're like, I don't even know what to ask. Even when you're trying to find out that perfect avatar, your persona that you're looking at, what questions, what problems are they having? Now, they may be accurate, they may not, but you'll know that because it's your industry. But it's so easy then to pick out those that they give you, say 10, and you can always say, okay, can you give me 5 more? Okay, can you tell me the top 5 in these 20 you gave me? I mean, it's unbelievable what it can pull out for you, and so quickly that it would have took you forever to research that.
Now,
That's why
that first list that you listed out, that was what it gave you. You didn't tell it to give you those
Didn't tell it anything.
topics. Okay.
So this is starting from scratch. Anybody can ask it. And this was the question. Chatty, can you tell me what I should share with you to give me the best information about me and my business? Because when it
So-
learns you and you keep on that thread, it keeps giving you information according to you and your industry.
Now, have you ever asked it to tell you about yourself?
Yes. Yes.
And was it accurate?
What's interesting, you'll find this interesting because you know both of us. The first time I did it asking about Karen the connector. And Karen Hoffman came up first because she's been quoted so many times as Karen the connector.
Uh-huh.
So then I had to put in my name and Karen the connector. I put it in quotes, so that you make sure you get that exact. And then
Mhm.
it gave exact information. Now it can only give me information though that's in the past. Keep in mind, until recently, they were almost 4 years backwards that you could only get that information to. As of this year, it's 2 years back on the free program and back to April of 23 on the paid Chat GPT.
Wow.
So knowing that it's not the latest and greatest up to date. You can't ask about anything that happened in the last 6 months, or if you added a lot of content, they're not going to find any of that. But it will give you up to previously for those past 2 years, before the 2 years.
Are there any competitors to Chat GPT? Are there other
Oh,
resources?
yes. Oh, yes. There's tons of them. I know there's AI chatbot. I mean, there's just a whole, you can Google it,
Yeah.
do Google that because there's too many new ones that would not be listed on Chat GPT. But there are tons of them, and I'm sure they'll continue to come out. And just you finding out what works better for you.
And I do want to remind everybody, if you do have a question, we do have small enough a group to raise your hand like Sheila did and just wave, or put your little emoji. What am I trying to say?
Emoji. Your
Emoji. Thank you.
I
But
did wonder what did it tell you about yourself, Karen? You said tell me about Karen Fox and Karen the connector. And what kind of things did it tell you?
It came up and told me that I was a professional in the industry of digital marketing, and it went back and really gave me a lot of what was funny was some things that I'd forgotten about, of areas that I'd spoke on and places that were of importance and magazines and different things. So depending on how detailed you make it, give them all the information is what they can pull for you.
Were you then trying to use that information in some way, or then using it to get your pillars down on it developing other information for you?
At that point, I was just wanting to see what information was out there about me. Because, we can Google ourselves and we can find the information, but when the algorithms are picking it up, the bots are picking up, I wanted to know what they were picking up. So that's why I used it, more research. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. So, for anybody that's on the call today, are there ways that you have used AI? Feel free to jump in or raise your hand on that one too. So Karen, have you ever used the whole AI world to help you write a speech?
Yes, I have. I did it intentionally and did a presentation where the whole speech was written by AI. Now that was for demonstration. Please know if I was really speaking and it wasn't about AI, I would not have used what they said, but it was so detailed, it was unbelievable. It was, okay, at this point, stop here, show this image, find an image about this, say this. Have someone raise a sign that says applause. I mean, it was just unbelievable how detailed it was. Yes, it's very interesting. But at that point, I can still take that same presentation, make it me, take out all of their, AI things, take out the robotic things, and use that as a frame again, and fill in my own points.
Has well, that question just went right out of my head. I know, I started to mention, so our editors, and as many of you know, we do a lot of anthologies where people will write single chapters. And one of our editors noted that she called it to my attention. She said, I don't think this person wrote this chapter. And I said, well, how can you, as a human, how can you tell? And she said, it's very choppy. And she said, there's a lot of detail that really has nothing to do with the chapter or the story or the intent. And, and the paragraphs are very short and very choppy. And so then we went back to the editor or to the original author, and, I just tried not to make them feel guilty, but I said, would you by chance have used any AI to help write this? And she said, how did you know? And so our editors are starting to spot it also. I'm sure they can't spot everything that comes through, but this particular one said, I don't think that, because this doesn't sound like, the original paragraph was written by her, and then the middle part, she said, doesn't sound anything like that first paragraph. So
Well,
even
that's the thing
humans are getting trained to spot it. Yeah.
Well, you also have to train it to speak like you. If you're a very strong personality and it comes across as someone soft, you're immediately going to go, no, that's not them, but you can ask them to take even what you've written and make it sound more confident,
Mhm.
or make it sound more like an advertisement rather than a post.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to, I don't like the word manipulate, but to change it.
Right. To
Karen,
rephrase it.
Karen, I was just recently on a training, and that is the first time I was really seeing, how to use it, or of any sort. Like, I didn't have any concept, but it was interesting, because the person put in the things about them, about what they wanted, and it did put out the content, like you're saying, and they were trying to make a video, so they wanted to, talk about it. And so then they were like, that doesn't sound like me. I sound a little more this and a little, and I wouldn't use this word. Could you replace this word? And so it replaced the word, and then it made it, she said, I'm a little more sassy. And then so it did it again, and it was really, really sassy. And she was like, okay, well, don't put it more in the middle, don't have as sassy, but don't have as how you had it. And then so she did do those updates, and then within 2 to 3 minutes, she had this fantastic script for a video, and then she used a video thing and made it, and that was interesting. But and she did say, I've trained it a little more. If I said talking what her name was, it would have probably even been better, but she didn't, she wasn't doing it that way on this, training. But it was kind of interesting. I guess it does learn. I've worked with some people before that edited things, and it is really hard when you do edit things for someone to make sure you're not changing the way they sound.
Yeah.
Because I've done that.
So Karen, what is the difference between Chat GPT free version versus paid version?
Well, the first thing we already talked about is how far back the one that's longer, up to date. The other thing is the paid version also talks a little less choppy. Let's say it that way. It's a little more free flow than the free version is. It also has a larger vocabulary. And so that, again, depending on what my daughter went through, maybe that's not a good thing. I don't know, but either way, those are the areas. And the fact that when you pay for yours, you own the content. When you do the free version, they own the content.
Gotcha. And we want you to rewrite it anyway by the time you hand it in to us. So yeah.
Right.
So Sheila, I don't know if you're there. I noticed you had a entry in the chat over here. I'm going to have to ask you to decipher some of it for us. Your acronyms.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Please. So I invented a device called the Upward Mobility that uses machine learning, which is a subset of AI. And then I write a weekly blog, and I keep it relatively short. So I write it myself, but to maintain a certain length, and I'm an engineer, right? By training, I'm not good at the words, and I'm definitely not good at the rules, like the period's always in the right place. So I have it check me for grammar, that kind of stuff.
Awesome. So you said something here about LLM.
A large language model.
Okay.
And so
You are a
mo-
real AI nerd. I can tell.
oh yeah. So yeah, no, I am. And then proudly an AI,
Yeah.
like a lot of people fear AI, and I'm like, no, that's just new technology. And I can expound. It makes me mad when people say that. So instead of being mad, I, learn to communicate more with those people. But like large language models and chat GPT is that. And that, I mean, is a tool. And I think this is a good thing. And that's why I'm like, I think it's a good thing to learn how to use it to not in place of a human, but to better see human, like as a tool. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, that's a great. So that kind of answers part of my next question I was going to ask for Karen, which is, why is this something that we need to learn how to use? We may be a writer or we may not be a writer.
Because first of all, it's not going away. It's just like social media. It's not going away. You're going to have to adapt to it. And as a business owner, it's to your benefit. It saves a lot of time, a lot of energy. I mean, just finding that framework for anything. I just did recently, sending out a proposal to someone. And I thought, okay, let's see what Chatty says is a better way to send it. And so I put it in there and it's like, oh, I like that. I don't like that. Changed it, made it my own and sent it out. But it was a lot faster than me sitting there trying to decipher, okay, does this say it the way I wanted to say it? Does this come across in the same tone that I mean it? And so it just made it a whole lot easier.
So I have a question. Did you ask Chat GPT if it was okay to call it Chatty?
No, I didn't ask it.
You just started calling it Chatty.
I call it Chatty. Yep.
I love that. That was my nickname as a child, Chatty Cathy. And I mean, there was a doll named Chatty
Me-
Cathy also.
me-
Yeah. It's like, yeah. Apparently, chatty people end up in marketing, perhaps. I don't know. That could be.
Prerequisite. Prerequisite.
Yeah. You
So
have to be carrying on a conversation. Yeah.
since we're talking to authors, I did put in, I said, Chatty, what are the greatest stories people want to hear about? And this is the list. I'm not going to elaborate
Yeah.
and give you the details, but personal growth and transformation, triumph over adversity. Sound familiar, Kathy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Love and relationships, hero's journey, innovation and discovery, historical and cultural epics, unforgettable characters, humor and comedy, moral dilemmas and ethical choices, and hope and inspiration.
Wow.
You're right. You have so many authors on all of them.
Yeah, I was just going to say it says it so much better than I have said it recently, but yeah, that's a lot of what we tell our authors too. That's amazing. I may have to ask you to send that to me and then I'll ask it and see what it shows me.
Yeah. Or put that in and ask for a different version.
Yeah, that would be an updated version 3
Mhm.
days later. So tell me a little bit. I've heard you talk about what is this R.O.A.R marketing? What is that?
Well, it's a jungle out there when it comes to marketing. And there's so much noise, and it's just like you're in the jungle. You hear so many noises and you don't know which one to pay attention to and listen to. And so I just did my program on R.O.A.R, and the R means robust. You have to have something robust in marketing. Now, I don't mean bigger and better. I just mean creative, and you have to be robust out there. They have to know you're available. If you're not being seen, out of sight, out of mind. And so then when it comes to the O, that stands for being on target. And on target means knowing your persona, knowing that avatar of exactly who you're trying to reach, who you're talking to. I mean, and that's an area that you can have Chat GPT bring you down to as well. Start narrowing those down and what the people are that you think you want to work with, and are they looking for what you do? Then you have the A stands for achievable. So we set goals. We all know about the SMART goals, and we know we have to create those. And when you set a goal, it's got to have a beginning date and an end date, or it's just a wish. But when you set those goals and they're achievable goals, it starts building that process. And so in marketing, you know, I would like to tell you, I could start marketing you today and tomorrow you'd be all over the internet. Well, we know it takes about 6 to 9 months for anything to really start to take, you know, shape and start to be showing in online, you know, because of the algorithms. And that part achievable comes into the consistency. You know, you've got to be consistent. Or what happens is the bots come through and they go, oh, Kathy has a great new blog. Oh, that's wonderful. And they come back for a few times and Kathy doesn't have a new blog for a couple months. They go, oh, Kathy's not doing this anymore. We'll
So
wait.
sad.
Exactly. So sad. We're not going to tell our people to go look at her. She's not putting anything new up. And so, and that's with your marketing as far as blogging, your websites, those kind of things. That's why we do blogs on websites. So it brings up that search engine. So the algorithm, those bots keep coming back to look at you. So that's where the achievable comes in. And then you've got to look at the results. What are the results you're looking for? We know in marketing, you start from the end result and work backwards. And so that's where the roar comes in. Let's face it, what does a lion do in the jungle? He roars. He does it to get your attention. Trust me, if you're in the jungle and you hear meow, 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 nobody cares. They're not running from that. They're not paying attention to that. Something else would get your attention.
Yeah.
And so that's why the roar is so important. It's just breaking it down, but it's knowing it's got to be robust. You know, it's got to be on target. It's got to be achievable and you've got to have results from it. And so that's why using these tools that you've been giving, like AI, and building that out. And even if you're working with someone like me who works with clients on marketing, even if you're doing that, look at it on your own side. Start working with that, playing with that, because you might decide a different direction to be creative, or you might go, oh, wow, I never thought about that. And then when you put your heads together, my goodness, what the collaboration becomes.
And you were talking about blog, and last year we did a big focus for majority of last year on videos and beefing up our YouTube channel. And I had a couple people mentioned, what happened to your blog? And it's like you have different audiences within your marketing sphere. And as I started bringing the blog back, it was, you know, you pay attention to what people ask, and I start bringing the blog back. I've had more comments. Years past, no one has ever written anything, and you know, there's room under your blog where they can write a comment. No one's ever said anything or taken the time. But since I started bringing those blogs back, what, maybe October, November of this year, people are leaving comments. It's like, wow, okay, so it's now the trick is to try and do both and keep it, you know, rotating and consistent. But
Well, I think what sets your blogs apart, Kathy, is they're real, they're authentic. You know, they take a different angle at things and bring it to life for them. And I think that's why they're so popular.
yeah, and I've had other people talk about that too. They're not salesy at all. They're, you know, they're real low key. And I'm just talking about life, you know. But they, and in full transparency here, Karen does my social media marketing for me. And recently we had an awesome compliment come from one of our vendors out in LA, that she said she wished she had our social media marketing, that she loved it so much. And that I said, well, I can introduce you to somebody if you would like. And she said, when we get to that point. So it was a great compliment, because I have high regard and respect for the business that she has grown also. So it's like, I share that with Karen. So we could not have done it without a team effort here. Any other questions regarding AI? I know we've got some people. Kim, do you use AI yet in any way?
No, ma'am. I'm still on the, I need to learn more. And so I figure the more I hear about it, the easier I feel. You know, with being a photographer and a writer and stuff, it's one of those things I'm like, no,
What
you
do I
know,
do
but
with
I
it?
can
Yeah.
understand what Yeah, you know, I can understand how she's saying use it as a research tool and stuff. So I'm just trying to work up the nerve to explore more. I do have a question, like say, you know, if you're giving it information to learn about you and you know, be able to help, you know, come up with ideas or something. I have plenty ideas because I'm writing about stories on the farm, but um is there a worry that it's going to take what it's learning from you and everything and you know, I guess use it as content for someone else or something? I mean,
That's why if you're concerned with that, that you want to do the paid version. It's $20 a month and do the
I
paid version, and then you own the content. They do not.
I gotcha.
But
And
I
it's,
All right, thank you.
jump on. It's you'll find it starts to become a little fun. It's like, okay, let's ask you this chatty. What if we change it to this? Our chatty, I don't like that word, you know. And I talk to
Right.
it just like that. I type it just like I talk. And it's like, there's certain words it kind typically wants to put out there. One word that drives me nuts is
Mhm.
it's narrative. Stop trying
Yeah.
to put narrative into everything.
yeah. I'm recently having my website updated and that word narrative kept popping up. And I'm thinking, where are you getting this word? Now I know. Now I know where they got that
Oh,
word.
it's
Because it's not one I use. Yeah.
exactly. And I'll say, Chatty, I don't use this word, or this word. And it may write something and give me some ideas on something that we're doing framework. And I might say, I like number 1, number 2, number 5, and number 6. Get rid of the rest. Give me 3 more.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, and
Have
again,
an interactive talking encyclopedia.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So Daphne mentions she has her camera off because it's lunchtime, but she's using Chat GPT in creating her social media posts. So I've used it for that top 10 thing, or give me the top 4 reasons why someone would buy a book, and then I'll just make up stuff around that. But I think the free version, if you use that, the trick there to make sure someone's not taking your information is just rewrite it in your own words, and use the part that you've rewritten. Those will always be your words. You'll always own those. Yeah.
So recently, after I had that training, and this goes to what Kim was just asking about, some other people in the room had been using it sometimes, but they were like very cautious because they were saying, well, it owns the content, and you put it out there. And then in the healthcare field, which I'm in, they were just very concerned about that. But it sounds like you're saying if you have the paid version, they don't own it.
Right.
So
But I look at it, even with the free version. Okay, so you're giving it information and you're asking it information that they're giving you. When you go back, just like Kathy said, and you rewrite it, it's not their content because you're rewriting it anyway.
And that's why it's great for research. But it's so funny that you mentioned that word narrative, because and now I know what they did. They were using filler copy, and thank you for saying that. Yeah. And I did. I went back through and I rewrote most of it. So
Exactly. I did not use that, Chatty. I don't use that word.
yeah. It's like, where are you getting this word? I have never used that word before. So funny. Well, we're getting close to the end, even though I did see some people that must have had a earlier commitment that were just able to jump on. Thank you for jumping on. I appreciate that. So Karen, I know you have a gift for our listeners today. Want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It's just learning the prompts to ask to communicate well on, if you're using Chat GPT or any of the other AIs, it doesn't matter. They're just prompts. So it's just a page of prompts that you're more than welcome to pick up. I don't know, Kathy, you're going to share the information, or do you want me to give the link?
We'll include the link in the email that we go out. Just make sure that Julie has that link from you, and then we'll make sure that it goes out in the follow-up email. And then I do want to remind everybody that we're a little off schedule this month, only in that we had to reschedule our next guest. Chris McClellan. He has been here before, but he's going to be talking about podcasts. He was supposed to have been here a couple of weeks ago, and due to unforeseen circumstances, we had to reschedule it. He'll be here next Thursday, the 29th, at 11:30. So if you can join us then, that would be great. Karen, I'm always amazed at how much information you carry in that brain, and thank you so much for sharing it with us today. I love spending time with you as always. I want to thank all of our guests for being here also today. Thank you for jumping in. And we'll make sure that you get Karen's contact information and the link to her free download. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out to Karen or myself, and we'll be happy to get those answered. Thank you for being here today, guys. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Karen.
You
Thank
are
you.
most welcome.
Bye-bye.